Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Mr. Stevie J893 and I'm back with another video. And in today's video, we're going to talk about iOS 7. So let's get started. So I just downloaded iOS 7 a couple days ago, and I've had a couple days now to mess around with it, kind of form some impressions on it. Now, one of the first things you notice is the transparency here across the bottom. You can pretty much see through all the folders. You can see that a couple of them have been redesigned. They look different. Settings looks a little different. One of the other things that I noticed, and it's not really evident on this wallpaper that I'm using, but there is an issue with wallpapers. If you're looking at a wallpaper, say in portrait mode, you'll find that your pictures have been changed. A picture that previously fit fine on your screen will no longer fit. Now, I've been trying to get to the bottom of that, and I understand it may have something to do with parallax. I can't say for certain. So when I turn this the iPad on, this is the size of the wallpaper. Now, there was a time before iOS 7 where it would not have been, in this case, Obi-Wan would not have been this large. He would not have taken up this much space on the screen. And if I turn it landscape, you can see now that his head is actually cut off the screen because he's too big. So one of the things that I'm hearing is that in order to get a wallpaper to fit the way it should on your screen, you're going to have to add 10% across the 10% to the size of the wallpaper across the top and the sides in order to fit. I'm not sure how true that is, and I'm not going to waste a lot of time going into it in this video. I just want to point that out, that there is an issue with wallpaper resizing. Going back to the appearance, you'll notice that if you go into something like this folder here, most of these apps look okay with the exception of Newsstand. And this is the thing, you have some apps that have been redesigned and they look pretty good. You know, podcast looks the same. For some reason it looks blue on here when it's actually purple. But anyway, it doesn't look too bad. But when you look at Newsstand, it looks kind of amateurish. It looks like it was rushed. And you find things like that throughout iOS 7. You find some things that it's kind of like, wow, this is nice. And then you find something else and it's kind of like, okay, what were they thinking on this? And this is one of those things. You go in here, you see some of the apps have been cleaned up a bit. You see calendars looks a little different. I'm not a big fan of the way this here portion of it looks. It looks kind of plain to me, but they've cleaned it up. They've taken away the faux leather piece across the top, and now you just have a plain calendar app. Another thing, Control Center. You have the access to Control Center just by swiping up, and that brings up quick features. Now on the phone, you're going to have different things that you can access, but right here on the iPad you can access rewind, play, and fast forward. If you listen to music, you can adjust your volume. You can go into airplane mode, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, nighttime mode, and mute. And then also you can access Safari, your camera, and your brightness levels right here. And you can access that, like I said, just by swiping up. Now, one of the things I also hear is that every app is not optimized for this. You can actually do this inside of some apps. So say, for instance, if I'm playing this game Plague here, and I wanted to access that, you can see that I can actually access it here by swiping up, and you see this little tab will appear letting you know that you have access to it. Now, not every app is optimized for that. It depends on, you know, which ones they have. I even hear that some of the Apple apps are not optimized. I believe Pages is one that's not optimized to be able to use that, but it's a lot quicker to access now instead of having to go into the settings menu from wherever you are. Another thing that you can do, talking about the multitasking, what you do is double tap home, and here's your screen that shows all your open apps. Now this may be new to iOS, but this is not a new feature. This is something that Android has been doing. At least for me, I've had the Galaxy S3. I guess has been out for a year and a half now, and that's something that you can do if you open up my Galaxy S3 is here. If I press the power button, it shows previously open apps, and I can just swipe them out. Now this has been on the Galaxy S3. And like I said, the Galaxy S3 is about a year and a half old, and there's probably phones that it's been on even older than that. But anyway, what Apple has here is you can just swipe up to get out of certain apps that you've previously been in, or if you want to switch from, say for instance, the main screen to go into settings, you can just tap it. That's your multitasking feature right there. Another thing that we're finding out is that Siri seems to be a little bit more useful, and the voice seems to be a little more natural. And of course, you still access Siri by long pressing home. What's the weather forecast today?
Here's the weather today.
Alright, so you see, I don't know, for whatever reason there was a long delay, but it did get the information right, and the voice did sound a little bit more natural. You can use a male or female voice, so either way you can adjust that with that whatever way you want. And going back to the apps, I mentioned that some of them look okay, some of them look terrible. Newsstand was one. When you go into some other apps, like I said, they redid calendars, so it looks cleaner here, but when you go into it, it's kind of like a blank slate. They did the same thing with notes. They got rid of the legal pad, and now it's just a flat screen. And I'm really hating hearing that word flat, and yet here I am using it. But that seems to be what they're talking about. Another thing, you can see your current events on your calendars by swiping down. Now you have this feature here where it shows you day events. It can give you a preview of what's going on with tomorrow's events. So right now it's showing what's going on today. You can look at all your events, and then you can look at missed events, and you can access that, like I said, by swiping down. Now you have to be careful. You don't want to, well, it works now. Okay, when I first downloaded, I was trying to pull it down from the very top of the screen, and for some reason it wasn't working. And then I started swiping here in between the folders, and that pulls down the search. But anyway, you can access that, like I said, just swiping down from the top of the screen. Next, when you go in, you'll notice that you've got new ringtones. They've adjusted those. Some of them, again, are kind of hit or miss. You may like them, you may not like them. Let me just see. Alright, that's under what they call classic, so they still have some of the ringtones, and they've kept them all together and put them under like a classic folder. If we go back and we find one of the newer ones, here's one of the newer ones. I don't know how loud that is, but that's, for some reason, it's not playing as loud as it really should. Maybe it's actually because it's in this case, I don't know. Another thing, so those are your, you've got some new ringtones in here, and they sound pretty good. But then you've also got some of your, your favorites. I'm trying to find mine. Here we go. Alright, so that's The standby, that's the favorite there, the old car horn. Alright, so that takes care of your ringtones. You've also got something that I've already shown you that I've done. But if you remember in iOS 6, you could move apps around different folders or whatnot, but you could not hide the newsstand, especially if you didn't use it. Well, now you actually have the ability to move that into folders so it's no longer visible if you don't want to use it. And I thought that was something good that Apple did. Next, Spotlight search. Now, if you remember in iOS 6, you used to swipe left, furthermost left, and it would be the last screen there. Well, now you no longer do that. You just simply swipe down, and there's your search. All right, so if I want to search, say, music, all right, and there, you search it, it shows you, and then it takes you right into the folder. And that brings you into iTunes Radio. Now, I'm not going to go into that because that's a whole nother section. Also, another point I want to bring up with regard to the control center. Now, like I said, you can swipe up to access your control center. And I showed you that you can swipe up. Some apps have the ability where you can swipe up and access it within the app. Now, you can disable that if you wanted to. Go back under Control Center, and then if you like, say for instance, you can access it on the lock screen, and right now that's what it's set to do. If you can see the green tab is on. Now, if I didn't want to be able to access my Control Center on the lock screen, I'd just swipe it to the left. Same thing with apps. If I don't want to be able to access Control Center within an app, I can just swipe it left, and that will turn both of them off. So that's if that's something that you want to be able to do, then you have the ability to do that. Also, let's go back here and let's go into the camera. There's been a slight change with the camera. Now, it's not like the camera on the iPhone, but if you notice, it does look a little bit different. If you notice now, you've got your big camera button here up at the top. You've got a camera icon where if you press it, it's going to do it activates your reverse camera. And there it is showing us recording. So if you press that, it goes back in. Then at the bottom, you've got your button, which is going to take you out of picture mode and into video mode. And for whatever reason, this is not working. Alright, so now it just dropped into square. It also has the where you can turn HDR on and off. So there's been a few tweaks. It's not quite, I don't think it has as many features in it as the one for the iPhone does. But it is a little cleaned up. You can see that there's a slight difference to it. And lastly, I want to look at Safari's appearance. Safari looks a little different. If you notice, first of all, the icon has been changed. So now if we want to look at it, we'll just press the Safari button. And you notice up top now, alright, so you see across the top here, the back and the forward button has been redesigned. You've got this icon here next to it, which allows you to go in and access AirDrop. You can share stuff on Facebook, Twitter, through email or through messaging. And then across the bottom, you can add certain things to your home screen. You can copy, print. It's just a nice feature that allows you to do a lot of things through one button. You've got the website name across the top, and then over here on the right, you've got your bookmark setting, which when you're back, it shows all your bookmarks. You've got your iCloud setting, and then this button right here, the plus button, this is how you add another tab if you want to go into a second page. So if you see right here, your first tab and then your second. And these are, I mean, I like that Apple did this. However, this coloring on it is just lousy. It's dark gray. It's a little different to distinguish one side from the other. And then again, if you press these three dots under the plus button, again, it goes into your bookmarks. Now, one last thing that I want to look at before I close this video out is the actual clock. If I can find it. The clock, if you'll notice, it actually keeps the current time. Right now, it is 10:42 a.m. and that's what time the clock is actually showing. So that, even though this is a clock app, it does actually keep the time. And that's a slick feature, but there's something that they didn't have to do, but they did. Adds a little bit to it, I guess, as far as appearance and looks and everything. But beyond that, that's about it. Again, going back up and looking at some of the other apps. If you look at contacts, they've changed that a little bit, as well as the reminders. Like I said, some apps look better redesigned, and others it's kind of like, what the heck were they thinking? So I don't know if you guys like it. Let me know what your impressions are below. And also, going back to that resizing of the photos, if anybody knows how to resize, it would be great if you could post how to do that in the comment section below, or better yet, just make a video response to this video and I'll post it underneath this video. So other than that, if you guys like this video, let me know what your comments are, what your thoughts are, what you like or dislike, what works for you. Let me know that in the comment section below. Hope you liked the video. Give us a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.